Our lives are now deeply woven into the digital world. We connect with friends on social media, manage our finances through banking apps, and rely on interconnected systems to do our jobs every single day. This constant connectivity brings incredible convenience and efficiency, allowing us to accomplish tasks that would have been unimaginable just a generation ago. However, this dependence on technology also opens a door to a new kind of threat. Every device, every application, and every online account represents a potential entry point for someone with malicious intent. We have built our modern society on a foundation of digital convenience, and we must acknowledge the inherent risks that come with it. Cybercrime is the dark side of this digital revolution. It is a broad term for any illegal activity that involves a computer, a network, or a network device. Malicious actors use these tools to steal sensitive information, extort money, disrupt business operations, or simply cause chaos for their own reasons. No one is immune. From large multinational corporations to individual home users, everyone is a potential target. The key to defending ourselves is not to disconnect from the world, but to understand where our weaknesses lie. Finding these vulnerabilities before the attackers do is the fundamental principle of modern cybersecurity. Cyber risk can sound like a complex, technical term, but the core idea is actually quite simple. It is the potential for loss or damage related to your computer systems, networks, and data. This loss can manifest in many ways. Direct financial theft, the cost of recovering from a data breach, the loss of customer trust, fines from regulatory bodies for failing to protect sensitive information. Understanding risk is the first step toward managing it effectively. It is not just about technology. It is about the potential real-world consequences that arise from our use of that technology. You cannot eliminate all risk, but you can certainly understand and reduce it to an acceptable level. To properly grasp cyber risk, it helps to break it down into its three essential components: a threat, a vulnerability, and an impact. A risk only truly exists when all three of these elements are present. A threat is any person or event that has the potential to cause harm. A vulnerability is a weakness or a flaw in your system that a threat could exploit. Finally, the impact is the negative outcome if a threat successfully exploits a vulnerability. Let's illustrate this with a clear example that brings all three pieces together. Imagine a business runs its website on an old, outdated software platform. That outdated software has a well-known security flaw that was never patched. This is the vulnerability. A group of online attackers who specialize in scanning the internet for exactly this kind of flaw is the threat. One day, they find the company's vulnerable website and use the flaw to gain access to the customer database, stealing names, email addresses, and credit card numbers. Names, email addresses, credit card numbers. The resulting financial loss, damage to the brand's reputation, and potential legal action are the impact. The cyber risk in this case was the combination of all three factors. Therefore, managing cyber risk is not just about buying more security software or hiring experts. It is about systematically looking at your organization or your personal digital life through this lens. You have to ask yourself, what are the potential threats I face? Where are my most likely vulnerabilities? And what would the impact be if those weaknesses were exploited? This process transforms a vague sense of anxiety about getting hacked into a concrete, manageable list of issues that you can actively work to resolve, starting with the ones that pose the greatest danger. A vulnerability assessment, often shortened to VA, is a methodical review of the security weaknesses in an information system. In simpler terms, it is the process of actively looking for the cracks in your digital defenses before someone else finds and exploits them. It is not about waiting for something bad to happen. It is a proactive hunt for potential problems. The primary goal is to identify, quantify, prioritize the vulnerabilities found in your networks, computers, applications. This process gives you a clear, actionable report that says, here are your weak spots, and here is how serious each one is. The process of a vulnerability assessment is not a random search. It is a systematic scan that compares the state of your systems against a massive, constantly updated database of known vulnerabilities. Specialized software tools scan your devices and applications, checking for things like missing security patches, outdated software versions, insecure default configurations, and other common flaws that attackers love to find. The assessment is designed to be comprehensive, looking at everything from the operating system on a server to the web application your customers use and even the configuration of your network firewalls. It provides a snapshot in time of your security posture. A good assessment also ranks or scores each vulnerability based on its severity. The scoring system, such as the Common Vulnerability Scoring System, helps you prioritize. It tells you which vulnerabilities are critical and need to be fixed right away, and which are low risk and can be addressed later. It is important to distinguish a vulnerability assessment from a penetration test. The assessment finds potential problems. The pen test confirms if they can be exploited. While the world of cyber threats is vast and ever-changing, a huge number of successful attacks rely on exploiting a surprisingly small set of common vulnerability types. Understanding these usual suspects is a massive step towards building a better defense. Perhaps the most significant and frequently exploited category is software vulnerabilities. These mistakes, often called bugs, can sometimes create security holes that allow an attacker to make the software do things it was never intended to do, such as granting them control over a system. This is why software developers constantly release updates and patches. They are fixing these security bugs as they are discovered. Another major category of weakness stems from misconfigurations and weak settings. A classic example is a device that ships with a default administrator password like admin or password. Attackers know these defaults and will always try them first, leaving unnecessary network ports open to the internet, failing to enable security features, granting excessive permissions. These are setup mistakes. Network vulnerabilities also provide a fertile ground for attackers. Your network is the highway that connects everything. If that highway has unsecured on-ramps, anyone can get on. Poorly secured Wi-Fi and a misconfigured firewall that allows internet traffic to reach sensitive internal systems are prime examples. Finally, the human vulnerability. Attackers are often masters of psychological manipulation, using phishing emails and pretext calls. No amount of technical security can fully protect against a well-intentioned person being tricked. User awareness training and fostering a healthy sense of skepticism are just as important as any firewall or antivirus software. Section 5. A practical plan. The 5-step risk assessment process. Conducting a cyber risk assessment does not have to be an overwhelmingly complex task reserved only for security gurus. By breaking it down into a logical, step-by-step process, any organization, or even an individual, can get a much clearer picture of their security landscape. The first and most foundational step is to identify your assets. You cannot protect what you do not know you have. Create an inventory of servers and laptops, critical software applications, and most importantly, the data itself. Once you have a clear list, find threats and vulnerabilities associated with them. Put on your attacker hat and think how someone might compromise each asset. Use automated scanning tools and simple team interviews to uncover both technical and process-related weaknesses. For each identified risk, estimate 2 things. How likely is it, and how bad would the consequences be? Low, medium, high. Prioritize and create a plan. Start with risks rated high likelihood and high impact. Your remediation plan should specify patches, configuration changes, new tools, or staff training. The goal is a clear, actionable roadmap for systematically reducing your overall risk profile, tackling the biggest fires first. Most organizations should start with regular vulnerability assessments, the foundation of a mature security program. Fortunately, you do not have to search for vulnerabilities with your bare hands. A wide array of powerful tools exist to help security teams. One of the most fundamental tools in any security professional's arsenal is a network scanner. Nmap, Network Mapper, is a free and open-source utility used to discover hosts and services on a computer network, thus creating a map of the network. It can tell you which devices are connected, what operating systems they are running, and which of their network ports are open, providing a foundational understanding of your digital attack surface. Once you know what is on your network, the next step is to check those systems for known flaws. This is the job of a vulnerability scanner. Tools like Nessus and OpenVAS perform deep scans and compare software versions and configurations against a massive database of thousands of known vulnerabilities. When a scan is complete, these tools generate a detailed report and provide links on how to fix them, such as which patch to apply or which setting to change. A penetration testing framework can help you confirm if it is actually exploitable. The Metasploit framework is widely used to safely simulate an attack and demonstrate real-world impact. For web apps, tools like Burp Suite act as a proxy, allowing you to intercept, inspect, and modify traffic to probe for issues like SQL injection and cross-site scripting. The theoretical discussion of threats and vulnerabilities becomes chillingly real when you examine actual cybersecurity incidents. One of the most famous and devastating examples is the WannaCry ransomware attack of 2017. The attack exploited a vulnerability in Microsoft Windows implementation of the SMB protocol. This flaw, dubbed Eternal Blue, had a patch released in March 2017, 2 months before the attack. Millions of systems were not updated. The ransomware was a worm. Once inside one unpatched machine, it spread automatically across networks with terrifying speed. Within a day, it infected over 200,000 computers across 150 countries, including major corporations, government agencies, and hospitals. The total damages, including disruption, recovery costs, and lost productivity, were in the billions. Yet much of this could have been prevented by timely application of a single, free security patch. The attack is a permanent reminder. Attackers take the path of least resistance, and an unpatched, known vulnerability is the easiest path of all. You do not need to be a cybersecurity expert or have a massive budget to dramatically improve your security posture. Keep software updated and enable automatic updates wherever possible. Use strong, unique passwords and multi-factor authentication, especially for email, banking, and social media. Apply least privilege. Only the access required, nothing more. Backup data regularly and test restores. Follow the 3-2-1 strategy.